dynamic personality, Dhanusha Kawalkar. She's from SECON. And young scientists should be promoted by IWSA. That was my honest wish. We had been together with IWSA ex-president Rita Mukhopadhyay for one national convention of bonsai, and it was decided that this new concept of speleology, caves, and all the wonders which she has experienced and very dynamically and courageously doing as a woman scientist. We are very much proud of you, Dhanusha. So she is working as a senior biologist at SECON. Before that, let's talk about the Indian Women Scientists Association also, because many of us, they may be new. So USA is a common dais for women scientists, and it is a beautiful organization. We can say we are having so many seniors from BRC and all over India. We are working together uh, to popularize the science, to take the science to the masses. And during this journey, we have learned a lot. As personally, I always say, whatever we are doing with the Kolhapur branch, we have learned so many things from USA seniors, and it's pleasure to introduce new scientists, young scientists, who will also definitely get benefited through Indian Women Scientists Association. So I would like to welcome Dhanusha Kawalkar for accepting our invitation. Of course, she was ready, and she is so enthusiastic about everything. She has completed her graduation from social sciences. And after that, she has completed her wildlife PG specialization, and then entered in the field of this new field, that is speleology, and working great regarding that. So we are all eager to hear from Dhanusha Kawalkar. I think with this primary introduction, let's invite Dhanusha Kawalkar to talk about her work on the caves. Welcome, Dhanusha. Very
Thank
happy
you,
to see you.
ma'am. So just to tell everybody, Dhanasri ma'am has always been my support in field because I was staying in Vengurla for a long period of time. And Dhanasri ma'am, Vijaya ma'am, Rita ma'am, I've met everybody recently, and then everybody pushed me to do this talk. And I'm very happy to be talking about caves on the IWSA platform. I'm also happy that I've become a member of IWSA today.
Yes, so welcome
So
as a member of the Indian
thank
Women
you.
Scientists Association.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So should I share my
Yes,
screen? Yeah.
yes, yes.
Is my screen visible? Okay.
Yes.
So I'll get started. So thank you so much for introducing me and speleology as in general. So as Dhanasri ma'am has introduced me, I would also like to introduce somebody who has played a very important role in being in this field, which is my supervisor, Dr. Manchi Shirish. So you can see him on the poster and as well as on my slide. So he's been a support and pillar of my success till now. So coming to the, I mean, what are we going to talk today is all about caves. So what is a cave? I mean, we have heard so much about caves, that caves are dark, they're inaccessible, they're long, and there is a lot of scare. I mean, people are afraid about caves whenever it comes to caves. So basically, if scientifically talking about caves, it is a natural cavity in the ground. So as you see in these pictures, so the process of like becoming a cave, I mean the process of making of the cave is very dynamic, and it takes millions and millions of years to do that, to form that. So as you see, slowly groundwater will seep inside the cavities of the ground, and due to rainfall it will keep getting eroded, and because of the dissolution of the rocks, such type of cavities will be made along with the aquifers. So slowly, when the water starts draining down, these cavities become empty and finally a cave is formed. Classically, there is a definition which is accepted universally. So a cave should be 5 meters in length, minimum 5 meters in length, maximum it can go to kilometers, and should be large enough for a human to enter. So as you can see in this picture, this cave is a very tiny cave. Like the entrance is very tiny, and such kind of caves they're very huge, which have large halls. So, like I mentioned, the caves are formed basically due to weathering and dissolution of rocks, dissolution of bedrock especially. Cave as habitats are ignored uh, always and neglected for a while. So they form a very important habitat for all types of wildlife. And like Patil Madam said that the study of caves is called speleology, and study of life inside the caves is called biospeleology. Caves has been associated to us, I mean, to humans since long, I mean, millions of years. So we were cave humans, cave animals before we actually get into cities and into this crowd. So this is how we are also connected to caves in, I mean, many forms. So, coming to why caves as habitats or as a geological formations, how and why are they important? So, cave as habitats are very vulnerable, and their protection over the world should be enhanced and should get protection at national, local, state levels in every at every levels. So there is also international body which is called as International Union of Speleology, which takes care of making cast protection or cave protection guidelines for the world. So very recently, Speleological Association of India, whom I am the co-founder of, we are the India representative for making these guidelines for our country. So first of all, coming to what the caves have very important ecological values. They form very unique ecological niches, as you see in the pictures. So recently, the world's largest cave fish was found from Meghalayan caves, and you see such kind of fauna also, such as crickets or spiders or moths, also inside caves. So from a tiny ant to mammals, caves are refuge to all kinds of animals, and also they provide shelter to different animals. For humans also, it has provided shelter for many years. Coming to the most important value, which is socio-economic value, how these different karst and cave ecosystems are benefiting humans. So the most important thing today is nature and geotourism. And over 50 karst and cave locations are already inserted in UNESCO's World Natural Heritage List. And just to mention that the background picture, you must be wondering why have I put a lake picture in a cave presentation. So this lake's name is Renuka Lake, which is in Himachal Pradesh, and this is a Ramsar wetland site. So why is this has this unique identity is because it is formed in a karst land, and like karst land, basically limestone land, and it is understood that there can be lot of underground caves and aquifers inside this lake. So that's why this is the first Ramsar subterranean wetland which was declared. So, according to some studies, around 70 million people every year visit caves worldwide, and approximately 1,200 caves. This is very specific to Europe, and which amounts to around 800 millions of year of income only for entrance fees. So, I believe everybody in this world have at least visited one or the other cave in their life. So giving one more example, so we there is also one eco cave garden in Nainital, in Uttarakhand. Coming to the geological values, which is amongst the most important values caves have, is the type of formations which caves own. And caves are also reported as repositories of past information such as rainfall, earthquakes, etc. Recently, the new geological ages were, I mean, described, and according to that, we are right now in the Meghalayan age. So, stalagmite, which you can see in the picture, these are stalagmites. So stalagmite and a stalactite was collected from a Meghalaya's cave, and from that a study was done, and then the geologist found that right now we all the Earth is in Meghalayan age. So this was one of the greatest discovery, which was found from caves. Along with all the other values, caves hold a very important value, which is hydrological value. So none of us can even imagine that the water we drink or is coming from a subterranean wetland. So, for example, like I keep on repeating the word karst. So, karst basically is a type of landscape where the dissolving of the bedrock has happened. So that landscape has aquifers, that landscape has springs, waterfalls, every other form of like geological formation. So caves form a very important source, a groundwater source. And presently, 25% of freshwater drinking water, I mean fresh drinking water, is from the karst. And yes, so there is one more category of wetlands which form in these aquifers and wetlands is the subterranean wetlands. Coming to one of the other important values, the archaeological and cultural significance which caves hold. So everybody must be knowing that caves hold information about human history, like such as Ajanta Ellora caves or Khandogiri caves in Odisha. These are all past information about how humans lived, how different beliefs have even evolved. So these are natural monuments, historical monuments are also included into World Heritage sites. These includes cave temples, monasteries of monks, and etc. So I always like to talk about Amarnath temple because very less people know Amarnath as an ice cave. So it's from many centuries, like hundreds of centuries, that this cave has been worshipped as Shiva's place. So next time when you visit Amarnath, please have a look at this beautiful stalagmite, which is worshipped as Lord Shiva. So, coming to getting to know about caves and what is their importance, I'll come to the systematics and very briefly I'll introduce to what are cave zones. So, basically, there are three zones to any cave. One is first, the first is entrance, uh, where basically you will see little bit of flora. I mean, plant growth will happen in the entrance zone because the sunlight will directly reach the zone. There are a lot of variations in temperature and humidity, and of course, it is affected due to the surface temperature, and it is occupied by accidental fauna. So, for example, it is raining heavily. A tiger or a leopard or a civet can enter a cave for shelter. So, such kind of fauna, such kind of mammals will be majorly found in entrance. So, but that doesn't mean that when I go to look for a cave, so I will find a tiger sitting at the entrance zone. So that is just very accidental. But you will find moths, spiders, crickets, lot of invertebrates also in the entrance zone. Second zone is twilight. Twilight, as the name suggests, it is dim light. So because there is no direct sunlight, so there is no floral life in twilight zone. There is very less variation in temperature and humidity. What I mean is, slowly in twilight zone, the cave starts to adjust the temperatures. So it starts becoming stable. And it is also the most important in transition zone between dark and entrance. This is basically occupied by facultative fauna, which is again such kind of fauna, which is again accidental or by chance which have entered or and living there. But other invertebrates also live in twilight zones, such as bats. Coming to the most important zone in caves, which actually defines a cave, which is dark zone. So there is absolutely no light in this zone. The temperature and humidity are very stable. It is obviously because it is the last zone. Sometimes if the cave is like 100 kilometers long, the entrance zone will be like for 90 kilometers, and that is the, I mean, if there are no entrances or there are no sinkholes, I mean, there will be less oxygen also. So this is mostly occupied by obligate cave fauna. So like the bird which I'm studying, Indian swiftlet. Indian swiftlet also lives in dark zone, and there are a lot of bat species which also dwell in these dark zones. So coming to animals in caves, they are called as cavernicoles. So this classification is universally followed at three levels, and since 1800s, it has been followed and then amended in 1907. So, based on ecological and evolutionary roles of these animals inside caves, there are three categories. So, one is troglodytes, like I said, which are occasional inside caves or accidental fauna. Second is troglophiles, which is optionally occurring. Like they can exist inside caves also, they can exist outside caves also, such kind of animals. And troglobites, which are obligate and considered to be very true cavernicoles. So in this picture, as you see, there is this fly, then there is a lot of guano pile, there's spider, there's millipede. So this entire is a ecosystem. It is not just a place for just one animal. It is, I mean, it has lots of animals, and that is how make this ecosystem. So when we say that the sunlight doesn't enter, there is less oxygen, the humidity and temperature is very stable or constant. So then, what are the energy sources inside caves? So the first energy source is percolating water. Like I saw, there was a slide which shows there are speleothems, stalactites and stalagmites. So through stalactites, water keeps on percolating. This is the groundwater and rainwater mostly, which keeps on collecting, percolating inside caves, and which collects organic carbon and microarthropods. So a lot of times inside caves, you'll also find water streams. So that brings organic matter and leaf litter inside caves. Like, yeah. So there is wind and gravity also. Wind will always have a major role, which will bring fallen leaves, twigs, fruits, and aerially dispersing invertebrates such as spiders inside caves. So, and then there are tree roots which also penetrates through the cave ceiling, and it also functions as a very important habitat for lot of cave animals. Then there is obviously active movement of animals such as troglodytes or troglophiles, which are accidental and occasional. And they also have the guano inside. And for example, this photo is from Andaman. So Himalayan mass civet is always used to come inside cave and used to take shelter, and also used to leave its scat. So this also becomes a very important energy source for a lot of other invertebrates. So, I'll just touch this topic very lightly, because then otherwise, if I go in detail, it becomes too scientific. So, basically, like there are different types of forest, different type of wetlands. There are different type of caves. There are high, minute level of classification which comes into cave ecosystems. So, for example, there are surface level caves. There are different shapes of caves. There are horizontal, vertical, hybrid. There are different origins such as solutional, dissolutional, flank margin, or a coastal cave. Then, based on number of chambers, also the caves will be classified, such as single chambered, multi chambered, different stories. Then there are ecological networks such as lattice and dendritic. Then, according to microclimate, also there will be different type of caves. So, in this presentation, I will be talking about barometric caves. And in presence of water, so if there is water present, so that can also be called as sea caves or subterranean wetland or aquifers. And the thing is, like, based on location, there are inland caves and coastal caves. So coming to the most easiest classification is surface level caves. So we have above ground and underground caves. So you can see me here in this underground cave. So this was approximately like 10 meters in like down cave. So this underground caves are also called hypogene caves. And so above surface are also called epigene caves. Based on origin, like I mentioned, there are flank margin caves and there are coastal caves. So flank margin caves are basically formed at this point where the ocean and the land meets, and there is always a freshwater lens, and because of the movement of the freshwater lens between the ocean and this landmass makes a cavity. and that is how the flank margin cave is formed. So, coming to ecological networks, when we call caves as ecosystems, so there are mostly ecological networks also. So, what do we mean by networks is, so for example, this one circle is a cave, and this circle is a cave. Sometimes these caves are linked to each other, forming an ecological network. So when a lot of caves are connected to each other, a lot of patches, that time that network is called as lattice cave network. And when there is such kind of network inside caves, so there are different caves, but the entrance is same. So such kind of caves have dendritic networks. So this is one of the cave in Vietnam. This picture is of one of the biggest cave in Vietnam, which is also known to have its own forest ecosystem inside it. So I mean, this is a very wonderful example of how these networks can be formed within caves. So based on chambers and stories. So for example, some caves will have multi stories, and some will have multi chambers. So one can have just one room, for example, one room, and some can have plenty hundreds of room also. Then based on microclimate, caves are, for example, this example habitats, coastal aquifers, subterranean estuaries, ice caves, just like such as Amar of Maharashtra. So I would just like to introduce you about this study and how did we do this and what did we find. So the basic objective of this study was to map the biological diversity inside caves of Vengurla rocks. So Vengurla rocks is in Sindhudurg, and as you can see, the beautiful rock chain archipelago having 23 islands. And amongst that, we could only find caves in two islands, and there were four caves. So two out of those four caves, two are, we just called it voids because they're just 1.5 or 2 meters of cavity, and two are like proper caves, but the this one actually, this one. So this is a very small cave, which we could not enter. Mostly it is a underwater cave, so that's why we couldn't access it. And this one is the I mean, yeah, this one is the very famous sea cave of Vengurla rocks. So I won't go into the systematics and methods of how did we do the biological studies, but yes, we, because there I see a lot of researchers attending this webinar. So I would like to mention that we have used standard cave surveying protocols and mapping protocols. We also made sure that we don't disturb fauna because of our presence. And cave fauna was also surveyed using the belt transit method. So you can always refer to our publications if you want to get to know more about what are the standard cave surveying protocols. So coming to our findings, I'll just touch these findings because these findings are in the process of getting published. So I won't talk about this in too detail. So the objective was to map the biological diversity and also to document the biological diversity inside caves. So yeah, so like I said, we just found one cave which was accessible on burnt island of Vengurla rocks in Sindhudurg. So we could document cockroach. Cockroach basically has a major role in scavenging inside caves. We documented gastropods inside, and because this cave is a sea cave, so the presence of gastropoda is very apparent. Then we also found different, at least 23 orders of spiders also. Uh, 23 genus of spiders. So every spider is now in the process of getting identified, and spiders have all play a very major role in as a predator inside caves. So the major prey of spiders are flies and like major dipterans. Then coming to the lepidopterans, which is moth. So as you see, this is a bagworm. So moth uses swiftlet guano for laying its egg, and that is how swiftlet guano plays a very important role in the cave ecosystem. That many of these tiny invertebrates actually depend on swiftlet guano as food, or for example, moth which lays eggs inside guano. Then So, coming to what exactly the food pyramid of this cave looks like. So, as you see, these green patches on the walls, these are basically the algae. So, fungus and bacteria, for example, microorganism and there are decomposers. And when it comes to flora, we have algae inside the caves. Then coming to the second level, which is predators and scavengers. So we have documented a lot of coleopterans, blatodias, crickets, ants, spiders, different types of flies. And the major input energy, as I said, is swiftlet. So coming to my most favorite species and my PhD species, which is Indian swiftlet. So Indian swiftlet, Aerodromus unicolor, is cave dwelling species, and which is restricted to Western Ghats of India and Sri Lanka. So I'll just introduce that we India has a Wildlife Protection Act which was drafted in 1972, and we have schedules in it. So the Schedule 1 species are considered to be very priority species in case of protection and conservation. So Indian swiftlet is a Schedule 1 species under this Wildlife Protection Act. uh, Indian swiftlet is a producer of black edible nest swiftlet. So basically, black edible nest swiftlet and white edible nest swiftlet. There are two types of swiftlets. I mean, in general, when it comes to the nest categories, there is white nest and black nest. So Indian swiftlet produces black nest. So this is referred to as black nest because this bird adds feathers. As you can see, there are a lot of feathers added to the nest. So that is why the nest gets its black look. So that's why this bird is also called as black edible nest swiftlet. And I'm very proud that Sindhudurg has this oldest colony and the largest colony of this bird in the entire world. So around like approximately around 5,000 birds live in the sea cave of Vengurla rocks. Coming to more facts about this species, is there are 39 species of swiftlets known globally, and India has 4 species. So most swiftlets, the most peculiar thing about swiftlet is that they construct their nest using saliva, and because these birds live in the dark zones inside the caves, they have to use echolocation to navigate for reaching till the nest. They are monogamous. By monogamous, I mean they have single partner for life. So a pair will, two individuals will pair for life, and they are monomorphic. So both male and female look exactly similar. So it is very difficult to differentiate between males and females on field. Then they are gregarious. They live in high numbers. I mean, such as the colony in Burnt Island, which is of 5,000 birds, and they're very social. I mean, they're social birds. And yeah, so they are aerial insectivores. They because they belong to the family of apodids. Apodids, which mean weak legs, so they cannot land on ground. So because they cannot land on ground, they always have to be foraging in the air. So it is like they forage for around 10 to 14 hours every day without landing. So that is one of the most, I mean, beauty of these birds. And that's why they are aerodromous. They are very aerodynamic. Then the most important thing about the habitat is they nest in caves, caverns, abandoned buildings, or like cave-like habitats. So, for example, in Southeast Asia, they have huge and many swiftlet houses for farming edible nest. So yeah, so they live in both wild and man-made habitats. So, sorry, I because I just I have already explained. I couldn't add the picture in it. So sorry. So coming to as we know that the cave ecosystems are very important. So what are the threats to these ecosystems? So the first and major threat, which I personally feel, is lack of scientific research and conservation efforts. So, I mean, long-term data, especially in India, is not available at all when it comes to cave ecosystems. And but if you have to manage these cave ecosystems, it is very important that you have long-term data. Then cave ecosystems, like I keep on repeating in everywhere and every time when I talk about caves, is cave ecosystems are very neglected hotspots of biological diversity and endemism. I mean, I mean, everybody likes to survey forests, wetland, I mean, or tundra regions, or like such regions which are very visible, very accessible. So that, and caves, because they are inaccessible, are mostly neglected. This is my opinion. And coming to, it's very important that we have to develop baselines, survey protocols for these cave ecosystems, and which that is most important, and that requires integrating lot of diversity of data and has to come from everywhere, not just India. It has to be coming from all the parts of the world. And yeah, so what I've highlighted is 90% of in invertebrate species in some countries remain in undescribed till now, till date. So India, I believe, is one of those some countries where we have neglected cave ecosystems highly. I mean, we always have seen caves as temples or as tourist spots, or for like, we always have those aspects. But when it comes to looking at the diversity, looking at conservation of caves, we have neglected these habitats. Mining. So mining is very sensitive topic today, and rampant mining in wildlife-rich areas is leading to habitat loss and species loss as well. So recently, it was a very, very proud moment for India that the first 100 IUGS sites. IUGS stands for International Union for Geological Sciences. So it listed down the first 100 UNESCO's geological heritage sites, and one of it was Krem Maulu from Meghalaya. But recently, there have been a lot of news that limestone mining for the cement industry is the major threat to the caves of Meghalaya, and there has been numerous collapses inside the caves because of these cement industry, which is booming in Meghalaya now. It is just not in my I mean in Meghalaya, but I have seen in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, in Sindhudurg as well, where people have now started mining for iron ore, and this will lead to. I mean, this is a major threat which is becoming to all the sea caves and coastal caves, especially when it comes to Konkan. Third thing is tourism and vandalism. I mean, because caves are beautiful, we love to visit a cave every time we are in a region where there's a very famous cave known. So yeah, according to statistics, caves are amongst the most visited geological features in the world. But as you can see, this picture is from Harihareshwar, uh, Maharashtra, and you see that such beautiful geological formations on the coast, such beautiful caves, voids, but then vandalism is everywhere. I mean, people write names and all sorts of things on these beautiful rocks. So this comes into vandalism, and this picture, as you can see, is from Bora Cave, Andhra Pradesh. So amongst the most highly visited caves in Andhra, and I mean, there are a lot of people, thousands of people, which visit these cave every day, which can alter flora and fauna. So sometimes, I mean, we as humans can also bring a lot of microorganisms and bacteria inside the caves, and which can alter the ecosystem. And also in the Bora Cave itself, there is a lot of artificial lighting and tourism infrastructure. So, for example, you see the pavement here, and there is a cement kind of a road made. So, because tourists cannot walk on cave floor, they'll develop a cave and a lot of infrastructure inside caves. And artificial lightning can also alter species biological needs. So for example, if there is no light inside twilight zone, and if you put a torch inside twilight zone, of course, I mean, there will be disturbance to the biological cycle of any animal. And so this everything leads me to think, tourism at what cost? I mean, we want tourism, we want our societies and to these caves should provide us socioeconomic values and everything else. But then, at what cost is this happening? And coming to the fourth thing is pollution. So pollution of all sorts of type, but I would like to mention this study which was done by which was done in 2022 about the microplastics inside caves. So because there is high tourism in show caves, and we bring microplastics through clothing, shoes, trash, everything else inside caves due to lightning and all. So this study, they took samples from different zones and different places inside caves and did all the analysis and saw that there were a lot of microplastics, which will obviously lead to aquifer pollution, speleothem damage. Ingestion, the microplastics can be ingested by the cave animals. There'll be damage to paleontological and archaeological findings, and overall, it's an ecosystem threat. So this major thing which this study was pointed out was that show caves. Show caves means the caves which are visited by tourists. So on an average, 4,390 microplastics per kg, like 4,390 kg microplastics were found inside the cave sediments. And there were all types of small size fiber shaped microplastics and a lot of common particles which they documented. And yeah, so overall, there is a very potential environmental impact which happens on caves due to tourism and microplastic pollution. So this is a public forum, and after listening to everything whatever I've said, obviously there is one thing which comes into everybody's mind is how can we help to conserve caves? Okay, we know that caves are neglected, caves are important, cave has so many animals in it. So how can everybody contribute in conservation of caves? So the first thing is study cave ecosystems. So whichever, I mean, there are new researchers or young people out there who are looking for something out of the box to do. So the most important subject of study today will be the cave ecosystems. I mean, speleology, and because we have very less workforce and very less researchers in this field, it is very important that we like people can come and study cave ecosystems. And yeah, second thing is like this webinar, we should keep talking about caves. So this is like a children's book, Dave's Caves, one of my very favorite book. Very beautiful illustration. So the most important thing is we keep on talking about caves. So if I meet 10 people in Vengurla, 10 people in Mumbai, 10 people in Pune, I'll always keep on talking about caves. So at least for a minute. I mean, I don't know how good it is and how people like do people enjoy it or not, but then keep telling about your experiences about caves. So this is like a way of creating education and spreading awareness about caves. And thirdly is we as tourists, I mean, I also visit a lot of caves as tourists, so we have to practice responsible tourism. So yeah, so just in detail is like take up speleology as a career, become a citizen scientist. There are a lot of studies happening on caves in India in different parts of states. For example, I myself, we have a running project in Mahabaleshwar. So people can come volunteer in the studies. Volunteer is not just that you have to wear the torch and go inside the cave and collect samples or write, like not the scientific data collection, but you can come, you can visit, you can try to learn more things, you can then spread the knowledge to other people. This can be also one form of volunteering. Then you can also support the NGOs which are working on cave research or conservation through funds. Then becoming a member or advisory member or a volunteer or an intern also helps to grow the NGO. Then, yeah, like I said, talk about caves, talk to children, adults about your recent cave visit, talk on public forums, and then educate general public, spread awareness about cave conservation and protection as well, and practice responsible tourism. So you should always follow caving rules. Sorry, when you are inside a cave, then do not litter inside caves, like I mentioned about the microplastic pollution. So, littering is very harmful to the cave habitats. Always read about caves before you enter one. I mean, just because we are entering a cave temple or a monument doesn't mean that we just go very blank minded and chalo, let us explore. But then it is always good and better that you read about that place and how ecosystems are vulnerable and fragile. Always carry a torch, always wear shoes, carry a torch, because otherwise, because tourists don't carry torch, that's why people, the caves have artificial lightning everywhere. So because I have asked most of the people that, why have you put so different colored lights, and why is the cave lighted? The tourist cannot even experience dark zone or twilight zone. So then the obvious answer to my question is because the tourists don't carry torch. So that's why we have put lightnings inside caves. So I mean, this is very basic thing which we can do. Never touch speleothems or the fauna inside caves, because our hand, basically our palm region, has some oils. I don't know the details about it, but I've read about it that we have specific oils on our skin, which if it, which when get in, I mean, which in gets in touch with the stalactite or stalagmite, the growth of the speleothems will get interfered, and then it will not grow. So never touch anything inside caves, and do not disturb the wildlife because they're very sensitive to light. So if you see a spider, immediately we shouldn't turn on our torch and start looking at the spider. So yeah, so there are different types of torches also available. So we should go we should, I mean, we should read, we should be aware about whatever we are doing when we enter inside a cave. And yes, go vocal for local. I mean, always visit a cave, support the locals, support the communities over there. Yeah, so this is also one of the most important thing we all should do. And just a little shameless self promotion. So do watch my documentaries. One document, both the documentaries is on my work on Vengurla Rocks. Our work actually, Dr. Shirish and me. And so, yeah, okay. So the Maha MTBs and Habitat Trust documentary is just in Marathi, but the Round Glass Sustains documentary is in all the three languages: English, Hindi, and Marathi. So you on these documentaries, I mean, you will get to see what I was talking about and how the zones look like and how swiftlets actually behave. So everything in detail is given in these documentaries. So just one slide about Speleological Association of India. So I, along with my colleagues, have started this organization in 2021, and we have this aim of research and conservation of caves and karst ecosystems in the Indian subcontinent. And we basically are very committed to scientific exploration, research, conservation awareness, and the major is through public education, training, ownership, and stewardship. Like I also mentioned, we are India representative of International Union of Speleology. So, I mean, we have pledged for cave conservation and karst ecosystems in our country. And yeah, so 2021 to 2022 was the International Year of Caves and Karst, which India has celebrated through Speleological Association of India. And yeah, you can always follow our work and write to us whenever you want to visit a cave or whenever you want to assist us or volunteer us in our different projects. So I'm very very happy and glad that I spoke about caves and my experiences about caves and conservation today here in this on this platform. I'm very very honored as well. So I thank IWSA for this opportunity, and Dhanusha ma'am, Rita ma'am, Vijaya ma'am, Suparna ma'am. Everybody has been very very supportive during my entire cave journey also. Then, yeah, because this project of Indian Swiftlet was done by the funding of MOFCC, and Mangrove Foundation has also supported us in a biological diversity, mapping biological diversity project. Yeah, so my sincere thanks goes to Shirish sir, Golding sir, and everyone who has supported me and helped me during my fieldwork. And thank you to all participants. You are very kind people, and I'm very happy that you have attended this webinar today. Thank you so much.